Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Auntie Tay. If you guys are new here, that's who I am. And if you're not, welcome back. And you are watching a new series called Extreme Takeover Room Edition. And Michael from Mr. Crafty Pants' YouTube channel and MrCraftyPants.com is using his Cricut to make over his bathroom using all different types of vinyl from ShopAuntieTay.com. I am so excited. Make sure to check out his channel and leave a comment telling him how much you love him, so that if we want to have him back on my channel, we know that you guys love him, which I already know you're going to love him so much. So take it away.
Hey, I'm Michael from the Mr. Crafty Pants YouTube channel and MrCraftyPants.com, where I show you how to quickly and easily start mastering your Cricut cutting machine. And this is episode 4 of Extreme Takeover Room Edition, a brand new 5-episode series where I am taking over Auntie Tay's channel and transforming this boring, ugly, and depressing bathroom with the help of my Cricut into a space that's cool, stylish, and trendy, all while keeping it budget and renter friendly. So if you missed the first 3 episodes, I will link those for you down in the description box below, so be sure to check those out. In each episode, I will be transforming a different area of this bathroom with a different type of vinyl. So episode 1, we used Oracal 651. Episode 2, we used HTV. Episode 3, printable vinyl and printable HTV. And in today's episode, I am showing you how to use Oracal Stencil Film Vinyl to customize rugs and to etch labels into glass, which is just so super cool. Now, if you are new around here, be sure that you stamp that subscribe button to subscribe to Auntie Tay's channel, and then ring that bell for all the notifications so you don't miss a single episode in this series. And hey, while you're at it, if you'd like to see even more extreme Cricut makeovers, then be sure to head over to my channel and subscribe. You can simply just search for Mr. Crafty Pants Cricut Tutorials, or just click that link that's down in the description box below. And now, without further ado, let's head upstairs to the craft loft and let's get crafty. Alright, so I am making a stencil that I'm going to apply to this rug right here. And I am making that stencil out of this Aura Mask stencil film right here that I got off of ShopAuntieTay.com. Now, if you plan on purchasing any of this, be sure that you use my code, which is Crafty, because that'll save you an extra 10% off on your entire order. But I will be making that stencil in Cricut Design Space, cutting it out onto this stencil film, applying it to my rug, and then going over that stencil film with some FlexSeal. First things first, I'm gonna get the measurements of the rug. Now, obviously, I do not want my stencil going past this point right here and this point right here, mainly because of the design features in the rug. So, the measurement from this point to this point is roughly 20 inches or so. Now, as far as the size of my actual image that I'm using in the stencil, I'm thinking around 15 inches or so should do the trick. Now, I am making my stencil with an SVG file that can be found on AuntieTay.com. Now, if you are not one of her Craft Day creators, it is an absolutely amazing membership. I mean, amazing. It starts out at only $8 per month, and with that $8 per month, you get access to literally hundreds of fonts and thousands, let me repeat that, thousands of SVG files. For $8 a month, that is an insanely good deal. I mean, think about it. If you go on Etsy.com and buy an SVG file there, they cost $1.50, $2 or so on average. With her Craft Day Creator membership, you get unlimited access to thousands of files for literally only $8 a month. I mean, it's so good. Like, so good. Okay, so here I am on her homepage. So the first thing that I'm gonna do is come over here and select SVGs and cut files. I'm gonna scroll down just a little bit and I am going to select SVGs right here. Okay, so once we're on this page, I'm gonna scroll down just a hair and select this Cute Designs category right here. And this arrow bundle right here is what I'm gonna be downloading to use today. All I need to do is just click it and it automatically downloads. And all I need to do is come down here and click the zip file, and that will unzip those files for me. So now I'm gonna come back over here to Cricut Design Space. Here I am on my canvas, but I'm gonna come over here to the left-hand side of the page and click on Upload. And then I'm gonna click on Upload Image. Now I'm gonna click on Browse. And here's my file right here. So I'm gonna go ahead and open that. And I'm gonna click Save here at the bottom right-hand corner. And here it is in our recently uploaded images. So I'm just going to select that and then come down here towards the bottom right hand corner and select Insert Images. There we go. I'm going to go ahead and resize that and make that a little bit bigger for right now. And if you'll take a look over here on the right hand side of the page where the layers panel is, you will see that all of these arrows are grouped together. So what I want to do is actually go through and ungroup those. So to do that, right here at the top of the layers panel is this option to ungroup. So I'm selecting that. And this arrow right here, this is the one that I'm wanting to use today. So I'm going to click and drag that up above all the other arrows. And then as far as all the other arrows go, I can literally click and drag over all of them and then just click my delete button and they're all gone. All right, so here we are left with the arrow that we're wanting to use for our stencil. Now, as far as the resizing goes, what I'm going to do is just come up here towards the top of the canvas where it says size. I'm going to change that width to 15 for 15 inches and it automatically resizes it for me. Now all I need to do is come up here towards the top right hand corner of the page and click Make It. Literally, the SVG file does all the work for me, which I have zero complaints about. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and click Continue. Now for this specific project, I am gonna go ahead and just use my 12" by 24" Cricut cutting mat. But in previous episodes in this series, I did go ahead and show y'all how to cut out larger designs, but on that smaller 12" by 12" mat. So if you all wanna learn how to do that, be sure to check out episode 2 in this series. Now, as far as materials go, I am going to come up here and select Browse All Materials, and I'm going to search for Stencil. Now, if you are using a Cricut Explore Air 2, all you'll need to do is just turn your dial to custom, and this page should auto-populate for you to search as well. But I am going to select the Stencil Vinyl option right here. And then as far as pressure goes, I'm going to change that from default to less. Now I'm just going to get our mat ready to go. Okay, so there we go. Now I'm coming back over here to Cricut Design Space. Right here where my mat is, I am going to click Edit. And then I'm just going to simply click and drag over my arrow and bring that more towards the center of my mat. Basically what I'm doing is placing that arrow smack dab in the middle of all of our stencil film. That way that's just going to automatically give us some extra coverage to make sure none of our paint gets on our rug. Now I'm just going to scroll down here and click Done. Now I'm just going to go ahead and load our mat and get to cutting. Okay, so there we go. All right, so now we're gonna head outside. I'm gonna apply this to my rug and we'll get started painting. Okay, so now I'm going to use the same Aura Mask Stencil Film Vinyl to etch out glass on this jar right here. So the first thing that I want to figure out is the dimensions of our surface area that we're going to use right here. So as you can see, there is this smooth area of glass right here in the shape of a square on this jar. I'm going to take down the measurements of this and then use that in Cricut Design Space as a template of sorts. Okay, so we're looking at right at 3.5 inches for the height and 3.25 inches for the width. So I am just heading over here to AuntieTay.com to use the Craft Day Creator Membership. And the first thing that I'm going to do is to come over here and select SVGs and cut files. Then I'm just going to scroll down just a hair and I'm going to select fonts right here. And then just scroll down a little bit further. And I want to select installed fonts right here. And I actually want to click on the image above where it says installed fonts. So what I'm doing right now is actually looking for a dingbat that is in the form of labels. Now, if you don't know what a dingbat is, basically it is a font that is masquerading around as an image or as a cut file. And the great thing about that is you can actually use those as cut files in Cricut Design Space. So that's what we are doing today. So I'm just gonna keep on scrolling until I find that certain dingbat. And here it is right here, the KG Flavor and Frames 4. So I want to select this, and then I want to come up here towards the top right hand corner, and I want to select Download. And then I want to select Direct Download. There we go, so now you can see down here in the bottom left hand corner of the screen that depending on your computer or your browser, that may show up differently. You may have to go to your Downloads folder and open it up that way. But I want to select that, and then I'm going to select Install Font. All right, so here is that font inside of Font Book. Now I know Font Book is an Apple type of a thing or a Mac type of a thing, right? But I also know that Windows has its own version of Font Book where you can actually take a look at all the fonts that you own or that are downloaded to your computer. So what I want to do is actually find the type of label that I'm wanting to use for today's project. And here it is right here, this label right here. So I want to select that. But I want to copy and paste it. And on here, I can just simply do Command C. If you're on a PC, you can do Control C to copy it. And then I want to come over here to Cricut Design Space. And I want to come over here to the left-hand side of the page, select text. And here is where I want to paste that image that we copied just a second ago. So I just want to hit Command V. And now I just want to come up here towards the top left-hand corner of the page, right here where it says font. I want to select that. And then come over here and search for KG, because remember that was at the beginning of our font name. And right here is the font that we're wanting to use. So I'm going to select that. And here is our design right here. This is what our label is going to look like. So I'm going to grab this little resize handle right here at the bottom right hand corner of this image. Enlarge it just like so. There we go. Now before we go any further with this, what I want to go ahead and do is actually create the templates for our jars. So I'm going to come over here to the left hand side of the page, click on Shapes, click on Square, and while that square is selected, I'm going to come up here to the top of the canvas, right here where it says Size. I'm going to go ahead and unlock this little padlock right here that's keeping those proportions locked. That way I can have a different measurement for the width versus the height. And for that width, I'm going to set it as 3.25 for 3¼ inches. And for the height, I'm going to change that to 3.5 for 3½ inches. Alright, so there we go. I'm going to go ahead and lock this little padlock back. Now obviously our glass is not a charcoal gray. This part does not matter in the slightest. I just think it'd be a little bit less confusing if I change the color of this. So I'm going to come up here towards the top left hand corner of the canvas and click on this little color swatch right here. And I'm just going to go ahead and just change it to white for now. Now I do have two different jars that I'm doing that are the exact same size. So I'm going to go ahead and duplicate the square by right clicking it, and then I can come down here and select duplicate. I can now grab our label right here. I'm going to right click it and then come over here and click on Send to Front. There we go. And now I can get the exact measurements that we need for our label. All I need to do that is just resize it to what's going to look good inside of this square, since this square is the exact measurements of the square on our jars. Alright, so there we go. That looks nice. I'm going to go ahead and duplicate this label for this other square over here to the right, just like so. Now as far as the font that we're using for our text, I'm actually using another font from Auntie.com, and I actually downloaded that back in episode 1, so I'm going to use that same font again today, and that font is named Honey Badger. I'm going to go ahead and come up here towards the top left hand corner of the canvas and change out that font, and all I'm going to do is come over here to the little search bar and search for Honey Badger. So now I can come back down here to this text box and type in cotton swabs. There we go. I'm going to come up here towards the top of the canvas, click on alignment and change this to center, so all that is center. And so we'll be able to see our text on this label right here. I'm going to change the color of this text to white. And I'm doing that by, again, coming up here to the top left-hand corner of the canvas, clicking on the color swatch and selecting white. Okay, there we go. So I can already see that this text is a little bit too big for this label, so I'm going to go ahead and just grab this resize handle right here and shrink that down just a hair. And now I'm just going to grab it and drag it on top of this label. So I'm going to go ahead and duplicate that text, and I'm going to double click it to edit it. I'm going to delete out swabs, and this time I'm going to put in balls. So now I can just go ahead and drag that over onto this other label, just like so. And you can start to see our labels taking shape, right? Now I'm going to click and drag over our square, over our label, and over our text. I'm going to come up here towards the top of the screen and click on Align, and then I'm going to click on Center. Okay, so we were originally using this white square as a template for our stencil, right? And it worked great. But I'm also going to use it as part of our stencil to help protect the surrounding area around our stencil from getting any etching cream on it in places I don't want it to be. So now to actually finalize and create our actual stencil, I'm going to click and drag over this white square and over this label, or label design rather, and I'm going to come down here towards the bottom right hand corner and select Slice. Now the reason I only selected that white square and that label is because you can only slice through 2 things at a time. So I'm going to grab the square right here, drag it downwards just like so, drag this label off, all this off right here. This is garbage. I can go ahead and just delete all that out. And now I can grab our text that says cotton swabs, bring it right back over here. I can click and drag over both of these elements, come back up here towards the top, select align, and then select center. And while both of those are still selected, I'm gonna come down here towards the bottom right hand corner and select attach. Now I know that some of this is a little confusing. I get it, I've been there. It was confusing to me at least whenever I was learning it back in the day, but I promise just stick with me through the end and it'll make a little bit better sense once we're all done. All right, so now I'm gonna come up here towards the top right hand corner of the canvas and click on Make It. And here are our 2 stencils, how they're gonna be cut out onto our mat. But just for personal preference, I'd like for there to be a little bit more room between the 2. So I'm just gonna grab the cotton balls and scoot that out just a hair, just like so. And now I'm gonna come down here towards the bottom right hand corner and select continue. Okay, so here we go for setting our materials. Now to do this, what I'm gonna do is come up here and select browse all materials. Now I am using my Cricut Maker, but if you're using your Cricut Explore Air 2 and you don't see that screen populate, all you need to do is just turn your dial to custom and that should pop up within no time. Up here at the top of the screen where it says search all materials, I'm just gonna type in their stencil, hit enter, and then select stencil vinyl right here. And then just click done at the bottom right hand corner. And I'm gonna change the pressure to less. All right, so now I'm gonna get my Cricut cutting mats ready. Okay, so while that's cutting out, I'm gonna go ahead and just grab my Armour Etch Glass etching cream and just shake it up really, really good. And I'm just gonna go ahead and pour a little bit out in this little cup right here. Now, just a word of caution, you do wanna be extremely, extremely careful with this etching cream. You always wanna wear gloves. I should have been wearing gloves just now. Don't judge me. But especially whenever you're applying it to your glass, be sure to wear gloves. And honestly, it would be a really, really good idea to wear some type of eye protection as well. And another thing that I'm doing is just wiping down our surface with some isopropyl alcohol. Right now, I'm just simply cutting out each of those designs. And now I'm just grabbing my weeding tool. I'm gonna start weeding it all out. And here's our first stencil. And here's our second. Now for my transfer tape today, I am using this masking tape transfer tape from shop.Auntie.com. No doubt, if you watch a lot of Cricut videos on YouTube, I'm sure you've seen this around plenty of times. I really don't know of anybody who does not love this stuff. It's all around just super, super easy to use. It's super quick. And what I've found is that you can use each of these pieces at least 3, 4, or 5 times before you have to throw it out. Or at least I do anyway. A link for this will be down in the description box below, and you can always use my code CRAFTY to save yourself 10% on your order. I mean, how quick was that? So easy, right? Okay, so now I'm gonna grab one of my jars and apply it right on top of this square. You really want to burnish this down really, really, really good before you pull off your transfer tape. You want the stencil to be firmly adhered to your glass jar so that none of the etching cream can seep up underneath of it. Alright, so now it's time to use the glass etching cream. Now I am using one of these foam brushes right here. A bristle brush probably won't do the best with this, if I'm just being completely honest. Another thing that's good to know is that you really want to do a dabbing motion when applying this to your glass. You don't want to be brushing it back and forth with a sweeping motion. That would really risk getting the etching cream up underneath the stencil. You really want to be holding it directly over top of the glass and then just apply it with a dabbing motion. You also want to be very, very careful not to get this anywhere other than where your stencil is, because anywhere that it touches glass, it it's going to etch it out. All right, so we got really nice coverage on this glass jar right here. All in all, it looks pretty even. So I'm just gonna go ahead and set this to the side and start working on our second jar. All right, so now both of our jars have a nice even coat of etching cream on them. What we're gonna do now is just let them sit for about 15 minutes and then rinse it off with some water. And here is our finished project. Thank you guys so much for watching today's video. If you liked it or if you learned something new, please be sure that you stamp that like button before you go, as well as drop a comment down in the comment section below. That really helps us out. And honestly, I just really look forward to going through and reading all the comments and responding to each of you all individually. If you're new around here to Auntie.These channel, be sure that you stamp that subscribe button before you go. And also, if you'd like to see more extreme Cricut makeovers, then be sure to head over to my channel and subscribe there as well. I would love to have ya. Just simply search for Mr. Crafty Pants Cricut Tutorials here on YouTube, or click that link down in the description box below. Thank you again for watching today's video. I am so grateful for each and every single one of you all. And until next time, stay crafty.